Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. I'm going to get started in a series of videos that has to do with the great draw request features that CHS provides to be able to draw for cost plus jobs or for a fixed contract job based on percent complete, etc. But in this very first video, I'm going to click the Draw Request button, and before I get on with how this video and the next couple of videos will be about drawing for cost plus jobs, in other words, pulling in all the costs you posted, either adding a markup percent for the cost plus markup or adding a builder fee. Before I get into that, I want to talk about how, since those are only pulling on costs posted in CHS, there's a feature for adding overhead, time items, or adjustment entries that aren't actually posted costs. And I want to talk about that a little bit in this video before we get started with the draw requests, because there's really a couple of ways to handle it. I've selected the job vista view, but first of all, I've already opened the estimated cost of completion for that job, and I've scrolled down to a cost code that we have that we budgeted for called overhead miscellaneous, and we budgeted $1,000 for it. Now, it's kind of hard to post actual cost to that because it's probably just sort of a general number, but maybe you've sort of agreed that you'll be drawing so much for just a little bit of your overhead costs. I would actually kind of advise, if you go back to the draw request menu, I have an opinion over here about posting and trying to charge for the builder's time, or it could even apply to overhead, is that really you should just mark up your job enough or charge a large enough builder fee to cover that, so that you've done, you're collecting enough to cover all of that, so you're not involved in the kinds of things I'm going to talk about right now a little bit. But in this case, this builder, just so in case you do it, has put $1,000 in for overhead, but notice how there's zero costs here. And what is it you're going to go post, really to your accounting records to actually get an actual costs here? So first, what I'd like to talk about is on the draw request menu. If we click, and we'll get back to how this happens here in a minute, but we click to start a cost plus markup draw, there's a button here to click to add overhead, time, or adjustments to include on draws. Now, the thing about this is, and it tells you this up here, this is just almost as if you printed out a draw request and you scribbled an added amount on it that you wanted to collect. This is not going to get posted to your accounting records, but some builders have requested that there's a way to include some additional stuff in their draw. Sometimes I wonder about especially on cost plus jobs, I wonder about doing this at all. But anyway, I want to demonstrate this. If I add a new entry, and let's just say I'm going to do my draws through 12/31/2015, and maybe at the end of the draw I'm going to do that. And in order to do something like charging for overhead, you probably want to set up your own company as a vendor so that you can just post it to that, and we'll just call it 12/16 overhead or something, OH, overhead December to December 2016. And that cost code we were looking at on that estimated cost of completion was 8510. Let's just say we're drawing 100 right now. Now, if I submit that entry as something I'm going to add to my draw, CHS will add it to your draw, and you'll see it in a list. And it has a draw number of 99 on it right now, which means it's not been included in a draw yet. So let's just close this, and let's change this to 12/31/2016 and click this. We're not actually going to create a draw request. I'm just showing the difference between creating two draw requests based on a couple of things. But now you'll notice the next screen that opens is a list of all costs that have been posted in CHS ready to draw, and the purpose of this window is to unselect some of them. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but notice way down here under this cost code, it's not coming from a journal in your accounting records. It's just marked that it's added. So since we're going to do a cost plus markup, there'll be $125 down there on the draw worksheet ready to draw when I get to the draw worksheet. And again, we'll go over all this in more detail here in just a bit. Let's get down to that 8510, and you can see that ready to draw is 125. So this is a feature we added that would increase, if you look at the total draw, ready to draw, would increase it by that much. So we may do that if we want, but again, I think it's probably best because if you go to the ECC and you go ahead and refresh it, you're going to see that $100 is not here because it's just an added cost that doesn't end up in your accounting record. So that could end up confusing you as you go. So I'm going to suggest that actually you post those as a journal entry in accounting, so it would get to your accounting books. So I'm going to delete this $100, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to post a journal entry for taking care of that overhead that I'm applying. So let's go do that. First of all, on our chart of accounts, in order to do that, we have an account down in our office and admin expenses. If you look up here at the title of it, office expenses under general and admin, we just added an account called overhead charge to jobs, and it'll probably have a credit balance. What's going to happen is we're going to take this out and put it in work in progress, and then when you close the job, it would come back into the income statement through cost of sales. You can discuss this with your accountant. Let's go home and let's just create a journal entry that would actually be in our accounting records. So let's add a new journal entry batch, and let's use that date of 12/31/2016. And see, CHS warned me that I'm meant to do 2015. That's why it's such a big number when I put 2016 over there earlier. So let's say the name of the cost code of that job, overhead, as our little batch ID if we want. And let's create a new batch. And let's use that GL number I told you about that we added to first of all take it out to apply it to a job. So let's get down here. I showed you it on our chart of accounts, overhead charge to job. December 2016 overhead job to job. And in this case, we're going to do a minus, a credit that will lower our expenses on our income statement. And we're going to select this job we're interested in talking about. The department will drop in for us. However, on this line where we're taking it out, we are not going to put a cost code because we don't want this line to show up in our draw request or in our job costs. So what I'm going to do is copy this line. Now I'm going to use the GL number that we always post our job costs to, in this case for this builder, which is direct construction cost work in progress. And I'm going to put a positive 100 on it and leave the job code, but now I'm going to put that cost code also of overhead miscellaneous. And by putting a cost code other than 0, this means this will show up on job cost reports and it will show up on a cost plus draw request as a cost to draw. So let's submit that journal entry and go back and close. And let's just go refresh our ECC again. Let let it pull all the numbers in from everywhere in CHS, and let's get down to that 8510 again. Now notice that there's $100 posted as actual costs. Because our accounting books has an actual posted job cost, and if I drill down on it, I can see the vendor is Z, really meaning to me that it's a journal entry. And I can tell that from that, actually, if you get to know CHS, because there's no vendor attached to journal entries. So journal entries get a Z vendor behind the scenes. So anyway, if we go back to the draw request menu and we start a new cost plus markup, and we do cost plus markup, and last time I think I did 2016, but I really needed to do 2015. Continue to the next step and see our list of costs to be drawn. And we don't have one that we use that added button for, but if we go down to 8510, we can see that that's in the AJE journal that we posted that, which means adjusting journal entry, that we added $100. It got the 25% attached to it because that's what was attached to the 8510 cost code on the budget. So you can see how, in a way, instead of just having the big word added right here, it says what journal it came from. And you can see how, in a way, that if you could understand how to do journal entries and what you're doing and discuss it with your accountant, that this might be a much cleaner way to add overhead to your draws instead of using this button that we have here that I talked about at the first of the video. Instead of this button will not add that to your accounting records, even though it adds it to the draw, which could, I think, in a way, sort of cause some confusion. But this feature is available here if you just want to add something to the draw request for whatever reason that will not be in your accounting books. You are welcome to call and discuss all of this with me. And thank you for watching.